very much for being here for my presentation. So my topic of research is Resurgence of Hope and Wellbeing through Fashion Education in Prisons. The authors of the paper is myself, Bela, and Professor Antonio Maurizio Grioli. He is not here at the moment. So the purpose of the research was basically it was conducted in the women's prison in one of the biggest prison in India, which is called Tihar, as a planned intervention for a need-based program for skill development. A fashion education program was identified and it was implemented over a period of 6 months with certain basic modules in Indian wear. India has around 141 central prisons with a capacity of more than 200,000 inmates. It was found that major reason for committing the crime, including illiteracy, lack of appropriate skills, is there to earn a livelihood. There are deprived backgrounds and physical and sexual abuse and alcohol and drug dependence. An initiative was undertaken to establish the fashion and textile lab in one of the biggest jails of India, which is Tihar. The program was designed and implemented with several planned outcomes like economic and social empowerment, which would inculcate feelings of self-worth and self-esteem, rehabilitation in society, and reducing the chance of returning to a life of crime post-release. The objective of the paper was basically to identify the needs and areas of training for the prisoners in the field of fashion and textiles, then to standardize the lab and equipment in prisons as per the needs of fashion industry, to prepare training modules and select a number of women inmates for the training, to assess the vocational skills of the trained women inmates, to study the impact of training on the beneficiaries, then to identify the challenges and issues of training in the prisons. To start the program, there were various visits which were made in the women's, men's, and boys' prisons to identify the need of fashion education amongst prisoners. After conducting the interview with the prison authorities and inmates, the women prison was selected to be the start and then taken forward to the women's and the men's prisons respectively, primarily due to enthusiasm towards fashion, education, and less vulnerability among the women inmates. The launch of the fashion laboratory was done in February 2017 for the first time amongst the jails of India. Students from School of Fashion, Business, and inmates jointly performed a fashion show, musical show, and a dance performance during the inauguration ceremony. And you can see few of the glimpses here. The attainment of sense of acceptance, community, togetherness, and social responsibility and positivity was the aim of cultural evening organized by students and inmates and is still cherished by both the groups till date. Students and faculties from the academy, Fashion Academy, also painted the walls outside the fashion lab, which you can see here in this picture, and which had very impactful visuals and messages about about liberation, self-confidence, self-esteem, and a sustainable life through fashion education. The labs were set up with the standardized machines and tools and equipments. They are well lighted and ventilated. Training started with 10 each of Juki machines, tables, dress forms, and tools and kits. Spurred by the enthusiasm and outcome of the inmates, India's Oil and Natural Gas Corporation Limited, ONGC, opened more pathways to expand the training infrastructure and improve the interiors of the lab by funding the project. The project was further enabled and the installation of the machines that you can see on the screen Every inmate undergoing training has a complete toolkit, independent machine, and a locker to store their work. They are well provided with the fabric and the other raw materials which is needed to do the assignments. You can just see a few of the glimpses of the fashion lab and the machinery which is available inside the prison. This is the textile lab. There are two big rooms for the textile printing. Here in the first picture, you can see there is a table with the fabric run on it where they are doing their embroidery, doing block printing, screen printing. And here there is a rotary screen printing machine where there are around 40 t-shirts being printed at the same time. So now when we had to design a course curriculum, it depend on the various factors. The research was conducted to understand the minimum and the maximum period of stay for the women inmates. It was understood that the population is rotating and depends on the decision of the legal hearing. Inmates could stay as short as 3 months and as long as life imprisonment, depending on the crime committed. So we hope to benefit the maximum number of prisoners through the unique skill development program, where we designed a program initially for 3 months, and then we expanded it to 6 months in order to meet the need of the large and the heterogeneous group. Heterogeneous group, I say it because there are women of all ages, and we cannot segregate, those who are enrolling in the program according to any age group or the economic status. So we have a large heterogeneous group here in the prison who are doing the program. A short program of 3 months was started in the basics of design elements, illustration, pattern making, construction of Indian wear. Initially, women were enrolling in the program were from the Indian origin, so the course curriculum was largely focusing on the Indian wear. The main aim of the program always has been to make the women skilled and easily employable so that they can earn their livelihood with respect to post release rather than committing a crime and returning back to the prison. Over time, we observed a shift in enrollment. Inmates from different nationalities also started enrolling in the course. They expressed the need to learn pattern making and construction of school uniform, western wear, and knitwear, for which there is a larger market in their respective countries with good earning potential. To fulfill the demand of the larger number of inmates, the course had extended to 6 months, and the women's learned all categories of women wear, and then we had incorporated the machines also for the knitwear. There are also given training in embroidery, tie and dye, hand block printing, foil printing, and screen printing. There are two full-time trainers who conducts the classes face-to-face on pattern making, construction, and textile techniques. There are regular workshops and mentoring on design, illustration, presentation, and industry projects are conducted by the senior faculties of Pearl Academy. During the training, inmates were given industry projects to develop certain collections, and we had collaborated with Khadi Gram Udyog on they were mentored to develop a range of 30 garments using khadi fabrics and screen printing. During the process, students of Pearl Academy, because inmates cannot move out of the prison, so we had also involved students in the process where they used to understand the requirement of the raw material and accessories, and they used to source it from the market and bring it to the prison. This enhanced the sense of social responsibility and empathy among students, and self-esteem and confidence among inmates. The first collection theme, which was developed by the prisoners, was named as Freedom, which used bird motifs in the interesting silhouettes, colors, layouts, and signified the demand of the freedom and justice. So this is while we had conducted their sessions and we had mentored them. So there are few sessions being conducted by the faculties. In between the sessions, there have been the fun times also where they celebrated the birthdays of the faculties who used to go there. And you can see the enthusiasm. And these are some of the glimpses of the fashion show. This was for the first time they were brought up on the ramp where they themselves were walking on the ramp. And this is the collection that was made by the prisoners. And they were brought in the public premises to walk the ramp. Another industry project for the next batch of inmates had developed a collection for the handicapped children. In the last picture here, you can see there are a few of the special spastic children for whom the collection was made. The measurements and the photographs of these children were provided to the inmates in prison to understand the body shape and make the designs accordingly. The fabric and the other raw material was again sourced by the students and was brought to the prison. Basically, the current mechanism or the model of training has to undergo two levels of assessment. One is the proficiency assessment to build the professional credentials, and the character assessment and the certificate is issued by the prison authorities for the better acceptance in their industry. Employment opportunities are also built up within the prison as an extension of the training program. A production lab next to the training lab is set up where trained inmates start to work. Soon after completing the course, they are given job by the jail staff, inmates, and designers. The average earning that the graduate of this program may draw is from 2,500 to 8,000 per month. With the rates are as per the prison wage scheme. The learning outcomes of the program through the fashion program is that they are able to develop the understanding of elements of design, develop basic drawing skills for fashion presentations, become familiar with the various fashion terminologies and trends, demonstrate appropriate skills of pattern making, construction, finishes utilized in Indian wear, Western wear, and knitwear, demonstrate appropriate understanding of techniques to enhance the surfaces such as with embroidery, tie and dye, hand block printing, screen printing, and foil printing, work cooperatively and collaboratively in a team and display work ethics and values associated with a garment making professional, demonstrate skill for professional presentations, reflection, and use of appropriate format, display an understanding of unconventional approaches to cut, proportion, and silhouette through explorations and industry-led projects. The interpersonal outcomes from this program has been tremendous. It was observed that inmates prefer to use more colors. They are able to earn their livelihood. They are also able to sustain their families outside the prison by sending them the monetary aid. 93% of the inmates say that the fashion education has helped them to release stress and depression by using the creative artworks. Inmates prefer to use more of colors to bring excitement and happiness to their work. It is the way to express themselves through creative and artistic work. So here are some of the glimpses of the work that they do, and we have also started incorporating in their program the sustainability concepts by using the leftover fabrics, creating bags or some other artworks. So what we observe is sometimes they are also making the artworks from their family. So the on the extreme right, if you see, these are two Indian brides somebody has tried to depict, because she was about to get married where she committed a crime and she was put into the jail, and her dream of being a bride is still to be achieved. So the artwork she is doing is all related to marriage and the brides. So they are trying to put in their emotions into the artwork, which definitely helps them to better express themselves. So this is the number of the enrolled and the released prisoners along with their employment data. So at till now, there are more than 200 inmates who have been trained, and more than 65 inmates have they have gained the employment. And what we see through the study is those who have actually gone through the program, the returned cases into the prison is very minimal. There, we can only see in the last 5 years, 2 prisoners have returned, after gaining this training. They are more or less able to work outside the prison, and if their imprisonment remains, they are able to get the employment within the production lab of the prison. So when we studied the impact of fashion education on the beneficiaries, we found that fashion education has brought in a lot of positive change in the behavior of the inmates and has helped in their rehabilitation. The use of hands, mind, and creativity work as a correctional tool and has a therapeutic effect. Inmates worked on industry projects in a team, which has resulted not only in a positive change in thinking, but also healthy relationships amongst each other. The inmates started to appreciate each other. In addition, the positive feedback from outsiders is invaluable and boosts inmates' self-esteem and confidence. The former Director General of Delhi Prisons, Mr. Sudhir Yadav, who has actually initiated and helped us bring this program in the prison, he said that a criminal is brought to prison for 3 reasons after he commits a crime. First, to seek punishment. Second, to isolate him from the society and the people around him may get scared of him. And third, to correct. So we consider prison as a correction centers. So fashion education has really brought in positive changes in relation to the aspects brought by him. It has further helped to increase their knowledge, and the case studies suggest that vocational training programs like that of fashion has been very, very helpful, allowing inmates to earn life inside the prison as well as post-release and to build a meaningful life. There has been various case studies actually being mentioned in my paper, which you can read through in detail, which has actually, have been the real instances where the inmates have actually been able to take care of their families outside the prisons, and some of them have even started their their studios outside the prison. So the impact that has been brought in the prisons has been amazingly seen here. The impact which is brought on the prison, there has always been news, not being an ordinary prison, but a reformation center focusing on the rehabilitation and acceptance of inmates by imparting skills for a dignified life outside prison. So fashion education has been looked as a successful model for replication in prisons. A similar program is moving towards the start in boys' prison. And then the boys would be are trained for menswear, and the same model of training and production has been followed. Haryana and Uttarakhand prisons had also expressed the need-based skill training, which was likely to start in 2020, but because of COVID, it has been delayed, and we expect it to start with by 2023. The women inmates and their families, educate a girl, empower a nation. This initiative has not only proved to be an incubator of the inmates' talent, equipping them with a new skill to get a new livelihood, but has also helped us to stop a vicious cycle of these inmates falling into the rut of criminal activities after release. It is acting as a perfect navigator in finding the right means of livelihood in society, and their families can express pride in women. The earnings of the trained prisoners have also given them a lot of pride. It is also helping the nation to build a mission, which is a Skill India mission. And it has been very important for the Indian government, who is focusing in initiatives, work to convert India's workforce into a skilled workforce. While the government is running various schemes to provide these skills to India's poor and underprivileged, the Hard Fashion Laboratory has gone a step further to make a mission more inclusive. Inmates who might not have a place on any government agenda in the context of skill building have found a place here.
Bela, is this your last slide? That's 20 minutes, just to let you know.
All right. Okay, this is the last slide almost. Inmates, the challenges and the issues that we face inside the jail. The inmates are allowed to meet the relatives twice a week, which really kind of, sometimes they undergo a lot of, sadness after meeting their own, the loved ones. So sometimes they tend to miss the classes. Then sometimes inmates are released in between in the middle of the program, and there is no provision for completing their training. There has been instances in the past when the only final assessment was left for the released inmates, and then the special permission had to be given from the jail staff to complete the final assessment. As per the prison rules, there is a limited exposure to print and online media, which limits the teaching of the design process and the latest trends. COVID-19 has brought in huge challenges towards learning. Prisoners were released for 2 years in 2020, and they who returned recently, the registered candidates to the program were only ones who were from the other countries, and they were not released. Leaving the COVID period, 35% of the trained inmates are recorded to be employed, and they're enthusiastic and 100% wish to work in the fashion industry while they're training. But the various reasons, released inmates do not join the production units and are not willing to keep in touch with the prison. So, in order to conclude, I would say fashion education has played a very powerful and a distinctive role in helping the class of women build a new belief in self and to recreate future free of crime. Thank you.